welcome to Berwick Mitsubishi. My name is Mark Hoffman and I'm our PHEV specialist. So I'm here to give you a bit of a rundown of some of the technical features of the PHEVs we've managed to secure from Mitsubishi Australia. As you've seen from inquiring online, they represent exceptional value. For the price of the vehicles these were to where they are now, it's amazing. Get in very quick. So what we'll do is we'll start at the start. Obviously at the front is based off the Outlander Aspire. So the Aspire, what it gets you, obviously at the front we've got chrome fog lights down the bottom. We've got HID headlights, making driving at night time a much better experience, which gives you the headlight washers there. We've chosen with all of our PHEVs to fit the black bonnet protector to the vehicle, as well as black number plates, just giving them a much better look. At the front, all of the cars present really well. No signs of stone chips, scratches, nicks, anything on the fronts of the vehicles. Coming over to the driver's side now, there's only one thing on the side of this vehicle to really give you a hint that it is a hybrid vehicle as opposed to the Outlander Aspire. Now, at the front here, we've got the alloy wheels. All of them present brilliantly, no signs of gutter rash at all. All of them have brilliant condition tyres because they're all very low K vehicles. The only hint that it's a hybrid is this, plug-in electric hybrid. What we'll do is we'll talk about that in a minute. Coming down the side, indicators in the mirrors, of course. We do have proximity key on this car. So when you open the car, obviously you tap that button to unlock or lock the vehicle. So say I'm leaving the car, shut the door, tap the button, walk away. Imagine you've got hands full of groceries. All you have to do is, beep, it's locked, walk in the house. No hunting around for keys or remotes. That feature will change your life and make it a lot easier. All of the cars do have privacy glass, so we've got tinting at the back. It isn't UV protectant, it is just privacy glass, as well as none at the front. Would recommend tinting the front and doing UV at the back as summer is coming. Down the side now, yet again, obviously we've got the alloy wheels at the back, nice looking alloy wheels. We stop here for a moment. You'll notice the fuel cap on this side's a little bigger than normal. You tap that, it opens. In here is our charging port. Now with the PHEV, obviously plug-in electric hybrid vehicle. Now when you plug in your car, you can plug the car into the wall at night time. Most garages do have a socket for it. The cars can come with a 10 or a 15 amp socket. Now I would recommend the 15 amp. It's quite easy for an electrician to change the socket to 15 amp. When you do so, you can plug it in at night. It will take a couple of hours, around 5 from completely empty, but if you have half charge, it's only a couple of hours. Now with the smartphone app or the dashboard on the car, you can select the time that it charges. So if you have off-peak power, say at 2 o'clock at night, you can set the car from 2 to 4 in the morning to charge, or maybe 1 o'clock till 5 o'clock to charge the vehicle. So then you'll be using, if your daily trip's under 55 kilometers, you're going to be using no fuel at all. So a really good feature there. Some people that I've sold these cars to actually charge them at work as well. So a lot of businesses like that. It does promote a very good image for the business as well. Coming to the rear of the Aspire now, a little bit to talk about here. Obviously comes with reversing sensors. We also have the reversing camera hidden here in the tailgate as well. A very good reversing camera as well. The Mitsubishis have a brilliant night vision camera actually, one thing it's very, very good at. In the back, they're all 5-seat cars because we do have some gear under here for the electric system. All of them present very similar to this in plastic condition and carpet condition. Very, very good cars. Under here, here's that cable we were talking about. Very, very easy to use. This is the end that goes into the car, and this is the end that goes into the wall. Very simple. I can actually run you through it now. Let's have a play. So you just pop the cap off, pop this open, pop that open, and simply plug it in like you'd fuel the car and leave it, and it will charge itself. As I mentioned before, you can set the timers on your smartphone app or on the dashboard of the car. Pop that back in there. Fold that shut. One thing to note, there is obviously a battery pack underneath the vehicle. We do have the 12-volt battery there for the vehicle as well that sort of starts the car and runs the radio and that sort of thing. Aspire, of course, coming with a proximity key. You do have this cool button here, shuts the tailgate for you. How easy is life when you have that one? Coming around to the passenger side of the vehicle, yet again, they all present brilliantly. Do ask your salesperson for an individual video recording of each car for condition if you would like it. Over here, we do have the normal petrol cap. Obviously, it does have a very small tank. I think it's 38-litre tank on this car. Really, really good fuel economy. Very cheap to fill the tank on this car. Normal petrol required. Coming around this side, obviously, same as the other side. Proximity key on the passenger door handle here. One thing I'll do and stop, because I didn't mention it before, get my cameraman to to stand up just a little bit. The Aspire does get you sunroof as well. We'll notice the car also has roof rails, so you can have roof racks fitted to the vehicle if you so wish. One last thing, we'll come around to the front of this vehicle on the windscreen. You will notice this is the energy consumption sticker. We'll talk about some more stats in a minute, but just have a look at that number. 1.9 litres to the 100. How good is that? Around to the front of the Outlander PHEV now. Let's talk about the engine bay. There's a few things to talk about there. First thing you'll notice is the sound deadening everywhere, followed up by the fact there's a couple of different engines in there. Obviously, you have two 60 kilowatt engines, one at the front, one at the back, allowing for all-wheel drive ability. You also have a 60 kilowatt generator. Now, 70 kilowatt generator, my apologies there, 70 kilowatt generator. Now what that'll do is the engine will run on idle, powering the 70 kilowatt generator, which powers the electric motors when the batteries are flat, and also allowing the batteries to charge. So the engine really, if the engine's on and you're driving on the freeway in that mode, the engine's only idling, so it's still only using very, very little power. But if you do need all of the power, you've got 60 kilowatt engine at the front, 60 kilowatt engine at the back, and an 87 kilowatt 2 litre engine at the front as well. So the car can actually get up and move quite well if you need it to. We'll go into the drive modes a little bit further on. Inside the Outlander PHEV, and such a nice place to be, and such a quiet place to be. This car is actually on. Now, when you're sitting in it, most people that have first hopped into one of these cars, they don't believe it. It is that silent. You'd think it was off. All right, so we'll start at the start. Obviously, on the steering wheel, as I mentioned before, if you want an individual condition report on the car you inquire on, do ask your salesperson. This video is about the features of the vehicle. We do have a leather-wrapped steering wheel. We've got cruise control here. The cruise control is radar guided. So what you can do is you turn the cruise control on. You'll see on the dashboard there it has turned on. Now you'll see there's three little arrows there, three little blocks, and I can take them away. So you can set how close to the car you want this car to stay. Now say you're driving on a country road at 100 kilometers an hour following another car with a nice safe gap. Now it turns to a 60 zone. The car in front of you slows down to 60. Your car will keep the same gap and slow down to the same speed he's going. When he speeds back up to 100, leaving the small town, you speed back up to 100, holding that same gap. It's a very smooth process as well. A little bit fun the first time you do it, but a brilliant feature, making long distance touring in this car a really relaxing, enjoyable drive. So that's cruise control fitted there. Across, obviously, we have our audio controls, as well as Bluetooth phone and voice control there. On the back of the steering wheel, there are two paddles. They don't change the gears like most other Outlanders, or some people will tell you they're not for the gears. I'll run over what they're for in a little while. Over here, on the left side, we have our wiper controls. The front wiper is fully automatic. The rear wiper is controlled by that switch there. On the right hand side, as I mentioned before, we have HID headlights up the front. For the low beam, is automatic, so it is dusk sensing, will turn on at night time. But do remember, during the rain, to turn your headlights on. You do, of course, also have the front fog lamps there. Behind here, it's a little hard to see, there's a few things in the way. There's a little button here that changes the center screen display, as well as a button that turns the traction control off. Probably would recommend leaving that one on. A couple of buttons down here. One makes for the best school pickup you'll ever do. That opens the rear tailgate, which actually, let's give it a go. So if my cameraman looks over his shoulder, have a look at this. You'll see the tailgate's opening. How cool is that? Kids, throw your bags in, let's go. Push the button again, and it closes for you as well. You don't even have to hop out of the car to open the tailgate. That is a cool feature. Of course, it does have a safety sensor. If it does detect something is in its way when it's closing, it will abort the close. Down here, because it's such a quiet car, and unlike most hybrid vehicles, you can drive this one purely electrically in EV mode, it does have a little speaker at the front of the car that makes some electric car noises, quite fun. You can turn it off if you want to go full stealth bomber and be really quiet and creep up on your friends. Over here we've got sonar. You can turn the reversing sensors off. Very good if you fit a tow bar to the vehicle and you don't want the car thinking you're crashing into your own trailer. We have a little button blank here as well if you want to fit an accessory to the vehicle. Of course, forward collision mitigation. Using the radar for the cruise control, this car does have forward collision mitigation. A really good feature, if someone suddenly brakes in front of you on the freeway, the car will detect that, the dashboard will light up, it will beep at you quite in a way that will wake you up, trust me. And if it doesn't detect you've reacted, the car will react for you. Also very good if you're at, say, a shopping centre and someone pulls out of a car park without looking properly, the car will do its best to try and avoid an accident. Can't guarantee it, but it actually does a very good job of avoiding the accident. Right hand side, we have 4-door power windows, door locks and window locks, power mirrors of course, chrome door pulls. One of my favourite features in the car actually, I really like this crosshatch white pattern they've got throughout the interior as well. One thing to note on the interior before we continue on into the dashboard while we're at the door and window sort of area is the car is fitted with 4mm acoustic glass, making this car very quiet. On the freeway, such a quiet car to drive. You won't hear anything around you. A really nice experience to drive this car actually. Coming into the centre now, into the dashboard, we've got a few things to talk about. Obviously the speedo, 100 kilometers an hour, nice and in the center there, making the car easy to drive. Now, as I mentioned before, you've got a button here, you can change the center screen. This is the one I generally drive the car in, just so you can know what's happening with the electric motors. You've got a fuel gauge here for your petrol, and an electric gauge here for how much battery's in the car, as well as which gear you're currently in. A little thing there saying ready, which tells you the car is currently running. And a little device there that tells you where the sort of energy is coming from. I can demonstrate that for you. If you just watch there for a moment, I'll put the car in drive for a moment. You'll see it's in drive. And then if I apply a little bit of power, you can see the little arrow going from the battery to the wheels, just showing you where the power is coming from. And if I was to put the car into charge mode, which I'll describe in a moment, you'll see it puts it in charge. The engine has turned on, and you'll see that the engine puts charge across to the battery. I'll just turn that off again, because we will get to that in a moment, and then put it in park. All right, your eco gauge over here does quite a lot for you actually. If you keep it, there's the train. If you keep it in the green area there, it'll actually drive very economically, but it also will do its best to stay in EV mode, not putting the petrol engine on. Obviously, if you get it over into power, you're getting a little bit heavy on the foot there. The petrol engine will turn on and power the car along. But the most fun ones, the little blue one down here, charge. When you're driving the car with electric regenerating on the brakes, it actually will, the needle will drop into charge, and sometimes can drop quite aggressively down into charge as well, giving quite a lot of battery power back into the batteries. On a long downhill slope, you can regain a lot of energy in this car. Across and into the center, we've got our navigation system here. Conveniently is showing all of the nearby things, including a little Mitsubishi symbol for us. We're located at 20-32 Kangan Drive here in Berwick. Nice and easy to get to next to the Monash Freeway and the Berwick train station right behind us. But the coolest button on this screen is a little EV button. You pop that little button on, it brings up this. Obviously it's got lots of little buttons there, but the best one, trip. If you hit trip computer, it brings up this gauge. Now, one thing about this car, before I get into this car can be very technical if you want it to be, but it can be very easy to drive. Stick it in D, throw the keys to a friend, and they can drive this car easily. But if you want to know what everything is doing, very easy to do so in this screen if you want to. Shows you how much kilowatts the air conditioner is using, how much power of the motor you're using, obviously your fuel economy. You can go energy flow, which is very similar to the gauge I just showed you in the center, but it's just got a picture of the car instead, showing you how much electric range you've got as well. Eco info shows you about your drive, like how well you've been doing, how much % of your driving is EV driving as well. This car's history is around 35% of EV driving actually, and you can go through all of the history and reset everything if you want to. Back out, we've also got a really good one here. This one's a bit of fun. The range of the vehicle. Now the little blue circle there is how far you can get electrically. This car isn't fully charged, and we've got to reset it to get a little bit more range out of the vehicle. But you'll find, depending on how you drive, it predicts how far you'll get with the electric vehicle and how far you'll get with the petrol as well. So if you're a very economical driver, and I'll show you exactly how to do that in this vehicle, those circles will grow dramatically. Back out of there. And also you've got remote climate control. You can play around with all of the settings of the vehicle. So this is a fun one. say you know I'm going to be leaving home at 8:05 every morning, which is when I leave home actually. So it's say 8 o'clock, I want the climate control to turn on the heater and the front demister on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I can do that all from this screen. So you know you come out to the car is nice and warm, the windscreen's defrosted, and off you go. You can do it likewise for summer to cool the car down as well. Really, really good. You can also set all of the charging times as well. So timer charge, you can change the same thing for the charging of the vehicle as I mentioned outside. And also you can add in how much your charge is. You can play around with it a little bit and it'll tell you actually exactly how much charge it's cost you. So it can be very technical if you want it to be, or some people that buy these cars would never even look in that screen. Entirely up to yourself, but a lot of information available there if you want it. Obviously we have a mode button there for all of our audio. This car is fitted obviously with AM, FM, which is pretty standard, CD of course, and then we have Bluetooth audio, my favorite feature in a car. Pandora, Spotify, audio books. One of our staff members at the moment is currently doing audio lectures for a university course, so really good things to use inside the vehicle as well. Coming down from there, we've got a little button here that obviously allows you to test all the indicators at once, and eco mode. That is how I drive the car every time. Really, really ekes out every little bit of power out of the car that it'll drive the most economically as possible. What it does is it runs the air conditioner in a more economic way and dulls down the electric throttle body of the vehicle as well, and just makes the mappings of the car a little bit more eco-friendly, but you won't notice the difference in the drive too much, but you will notice the range you get out of the car. Down here, climate control, dual zone, temperature, left and right of course, fan, and where you want the temperature to go. Down from here, we've obviously got 12-volt socket, a button to turn the electric tailgate off, don't know why you would, and some people really like to be able to put the key of the car, obviously we have the proximity keys for the car, some people just like to actually put them into something, so there's a hole there for that as well. Pop them just down there. 2 cup holders, into the shifter. A little bit to talk about here. Sorry this video's gone a little long, but I do like to get all of the information out for you. Shift is a little bit different. They actually call it a joystick in this car. Now if you put your foot on the brake, you've got your park button up in front here, but to get it into drive, it's like the picture, into neutral, into drive. Car is in drive. If you want to go into brake, neutral, drive, brake. If you want reverse, neutral, reverse. Very, very easy to use. First time you use it, a little awkward, but after that, quite simple. When you pop it into reverse, sorry to go back there, Lynn, brings up a really good reversing camera. As I mentioned, the Mitsubishis also have a brilliant night vision camera on the reversing, so nighttime reversing with the camera, really, really good. Coming back down again, I'll pop it into neutral again and maybe even park. So that explains all of that for you. Below here, we have 2 buttons here, charge and save. Save, obviously it will try and save the battery energy for use later and just run the petrol engine. The petrol engine will connect to the wheels at that point. The least efficient way to run this car. I don't recommend it. Over here, charge. Say if you know I'm going to do a bit of town driving where I want to drive electrically, I'm going to do a little bit of freeway driving and a bit of town driving at the end, you might put it on charge on the middle part on the freeway just to use the petrol engine to charge the battery so you can cruise around town silently. Down here, twin motor. As I mentioned, we've got 2 60 kilowatt motors, one at the front, one at the back. This button here will lock them in. Obviously driving normally, it will use the 2 front wheels. When it detects you require all-wheel drive, it will automatically do it. But if say you're on a dirt road or you know you're in very slippery conditions, say they're going up to the snow, push that button, it will make sure it's in all-wheel drive mode to give you the maximum amount of traction. Back from there, one of my favourite features in the car, heated seats, high and low, a really, really good feature first thing in the morning. Deep cubby hole there for all of your many things, has a 12-volt socket there and a USB socket as well, and a little carrier there that can slide around to hold your phone. Now, one thing I didn't cover off a moment ago, and I'll just get into that as my cameraman sort of comes back up. As I mentioned before, this car can be very easy to drive. Put it in neutral, put it in D, drive. Nothing stopping you there. If you want to get a little bit more into it, click it into B. Now once you're in B, Cameron's going to have to come up and have a look at the dashboard now. you'll see it defaults into B3. Now when you come and drive the vehicle with us, drive it in B. Now it's really hard to explain on a video, but what'll happen is you drive the car, you take your foot off the accelerator, and the electric motors will actually brake for you, putting power from the wheels back into the battery. And you'll see it go from the wheels to the battery, charging the battery. Now obviously B3, that is the middle mode. That's probably where you drive on the freeway, etc., because you don't want it too aggressive. Remember I mentioned these paddles earlier? These paddles actually adjust the aggressiveness of the braking system from the electric engines. So if you want to, if you're driving around town, I'd recommend you click this button twice, the downshifter. You'll notice it's gone to B5. B5 is the most aggressive mode this car has. Also, you can lower it down to say B1 or 2 if you want to. So you find your comfort spot with the vehicle. I drive around town in B5 to get the most regenerative braking. It will come to a complete stop at a traffic light with B5. Really, really good braking. Or if you're on the freeway, knock it down a little bit because you don't want that aggressive of braking on the freeway. Otherwise, you'd sort of cause incidents and make the news. So that is the drive modes. That is the interior. Hopefully I've covered off everything for you. I'll see you on the outside. Thank you for watching our video walk-around presentation of our Outlander PHEV. As I've showed you most of the technical features of the car, this car is quite easy to drive. If you wanted to, jump in it, put it in D, drive it. You never even have to plug it into the wall. But if you want that amazing fuel economy, plug it into the wall, play with some of the features, have a great time with it. It's a really, really nice quality car to own. Some of the cars we have, they were from Mitsubishi Australia. Some of them have tow bars, some of them have roof racks. There are a couple of colours available. We did have a bulk purchase of these vehicles and a few of them are remaining. So do be very quick for the car you want and the colour you want. Give us a call, 9907 0555, and thank you for watching.